I'd like to share with you real quick how I gained my health freedom. It's 7 to 8 years today when I first found out that I had a terrible disease. This was during a holiday when my friend and I went to the hospital to do a humanitarian action to donate blood to help others who were blood deficient. And I was surprised when, after testing our blood, the nurse told me to wait on the side while my friend was taken over, and her blood was extracted. And thereafter, when the nurse called us, or after, she told me that I shouldn't bother, it's nothing serious, it's not very dangerous. They're going to send me to a doctor who is going to take good care of me. And when I went over to this doctor, the doctor told me to go over to the lab and carry out a liver test. He would like to see the state of my liver. It's when I brought back the result of the liver test, which he told me that, okay, my liver is good, but now I have hepatitis B. I was like, oh, hepatitis B? Actually, what's hepatitis B? I've never heard of that. I went back and I carried this test again in 2 other clinics. Actually, the first test was done at the Regional Hospital of Bamenda. I started doing research what actually is hepatitis B, and that's when I began realizing real stories of how people were losing their lives due to hepatitis B, and began paying attention to, even in Nigerian films, where you see people losing their lives due to hepatitis B and really falling into serious health challenges due to hepatitis B. I remember finally when I moved to Bafusam 3 years after that, I remember falling really sick, and when I went over to the hospital, I was told that though it was partially due to typhoid, but that was also due to the hepatitis B reacting. And I remember the doctor giving me a good number of restrictions on meals which I need to follow, and what I have to eat and what I don't have to eat. And with my current health situation or financial situation at that moment, it was really difficult for me respecting those living up to those standards. And I remember this really getting down into me, and I really got really demoralized. At one point in time, I began preparing for my departure. I began telling my wife that truly this, I don't know where it's coming from, and it's not my fault, but the reality is that when I see what is happening, I really need to start preparing that one day I'm not going to be there. I really began working really hard that before I leave, at least I should have a roof for my family, for my wife, for my children. At least I should have helped my wife to be able to have a job so that she'll be able to take care of my children. I began envisaging that before 40, I would no longer be there. Till I came across these amazing products, Live Pure. I heard testimonies. I saw people who were hepatitis positive, and they took cleanse for 1 week, and took 1 bottle of Purxcel, and they went over and they did their results, they did their test, and they were completely free. I saw testimonies of people getting healed from diabetes, cancer, and I told myself that I need to do this. And I went ahead, I bought the products. I took cleanse the very first week, and thereafter I consumed 2 bottles of Purxcel together with Daily Build. And yesterday I went over to the hospital in Bonanjo, and I did my test. Today I went over for my results. When I collected my results, and the nurse who gave it over to me was look at the results and look at me, I was like, what does this really mean? When I collected it, I read it, since I'm not good with the medical, I've never really paid attention how to interpret those. So they sent me over to a doctor, and the doctor told me that it's negative, I'm free. That why did I have to do the test? I told him that I was hepatitis positive. He told me that he's not sure, that most probably where I did the test, it wasn't with good instruments and all of that. I told him that it was done in the Regional Hospital of Bamenda, in other 2 renowned clinics, and even in Bafusam in so many times, and I've been suffering this for 7 years today, even before. And he was astonished. He told me that he was baffled. So today and now I feel really happy. Before I was thinking that but before 40 years I would no longer, but today I'm so positive that I've lived just the first 30 years of my life, and I have additional 2 30-year cycles to go. So that's 60, 90. I am really positive and I feel really energized. And that is it. Thank you. And Live Pure is the best. The products do work. They do work.